it's your girl Charlotte V Manor, aka Aquarius, and today I'm going to be doing a book review for Why Men Love Bees. And like always, I have my notes in front of me, I have my phone, and I have this Kindle, but I'm just going to use the phone and the laptop that I have my notes on. So this book is by Sherry Argove. That's how I know how to say it. And she wrote this book for doormats. And at the time I found that, I was like at a very bad place in life. I was trying to figure out what college I was going to go to. I was in high school, loner in high school, okay, turbulent family situation. So when I found this book, this woman had me in a chokehold. I was like, there are women out here who just move around just so confident, and they make popcorn for dinner and they're still married. So it was just like very interesting to me, and it'll always have a special place in my heart because I just remember being the biggest pushover back then, and that was the first time my consciousness contemplated like a different way of living. Because I was just like, oh, there are girls out there who are just like not having these issues and stuff. So now, whether I agree with everything she says, that's up for debate. But I do like the overall message. You'll never get anything out of men unless you feel like you deserve it. And it's a whole psychology with it. But what I really like about this book, she breaks it up into principles, so you can just jump right in, or you can skip around the book and look for what you need at any given time. Also, like I said, this is what the cover looks like. Okay, and it's written in lipstick, just so you know she means what she says. And I'll go over some of the principles because I bullet pointed them. So, attraction principle. Anything a person chases in life runs away. And that's true for men too. So if you're a woman, I would go through your past experiences. When you chased him the hardest, did he run away? In my experiences, that is true. Okay, when you chase guys, they think something's wrong with you, or they think you just want no strings attached physical relationship. So I do like that she mentions that, but I'll go through the principles really fast before I just start talking about them. So 1, anything you chase will run away. 2, the women who have men climbing over walls for them aren't always exceptional. They just don't appear to care that much. Principle 3, a woman is perceived as offering a mental challenge to the degree that a man doesn't feel he has a 100% hold on her. Look at your mamas and grandmamas and see if that's true or not. In my experience, that's very true. Okay, I've done seen some grannies being treated terribly, and it's because the guy knows she's not going anywhere. She's been in that 30-year marriage and she's not going nowhere. But like I said, just the principles. Principle 4, sometimes a man deliberately won't call just to see how you'll respond. Actually, let me see how many principles there are. Oh, actually, there's so many principles. I'm not going to be able to go through all of these. So I'll just pick the ones that I liked as I read the book. I do recommend the book. If you're a guy, I don't know. I guess you could read it to get some psychology on women. But I guess it's like, if you're just curious, you can read it. It's like me. I read books by Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power. I don't plan on going to war with anybody, and I still just read the tactics. So, yeah, it's a lot of principles. So, let's see. Sex and the spark are not one and the same. That's principle 22, which I think is true. So, I'll just randomly read these principles so you can get an idea of what you're gonna be seeing when you read this book. Principle 32, let him think he's in control. He'll automatically start doing things you want done because he'll always want to look like a king in your eyes. Clearly, some of the things in this book is just like a toss-up. Does treating men like kings get you what you want? That's up for debate, because I feel like it's an oxymoron, because if you're reading this book, it's probably because you're already treating him like a king and you're not getting the result. So it's funny that she says, let him think he's in control. So instead of treating him like a king because you can't help yourself, treat him like a king because he has an ego and then he'll do what you want. So again, it depends on what you're looking for. I probably recommend this book to young women, honestly. Pushover women that you care about who won't get it together. So if you're a man watching this, maybe there's a woman in your life and you're like, I wish she would leave my no good daddy or my nephew or something, which is good for you, okay? A lot of men can't like admit that there's problems like that, okay? They just turn a blind eye. So good for you, and yeah. So more attraction principles. When a woman acts as though she's capable of everything, she gets stuck doing everything. I can vouch for that principle. I've seen it. I don't even pretend like I know how to do everything. I can't do this. I'm not even gonna pretend like I want to know how to do it. So I think that principle is real. A principle 38. That's a good principle for pushovers. So still scrolling. Principle 51, the relationship may not be right for you. If you find yourself jumping through hoops, amen to that. When something is right, it will feel easier and much more effortless. So again, more things that you will see when you read the book. And she also shares tips about how not to strike yourself out of the game by either being too codependent or like head over heels quickly when he's not done anything. She warns women not to talk about the last guy they dated, which is good advice. Why are you talking about the past unless you're entering a serious relationship and you guys just want to talk about that? And then being a doormat will cause issues. That's true. That's why she had to write the book. Don't try to change him. I agree. And this is all under Doormat to Dream Girl. So there is a chapter in the book when she's like listing how you can become his dream girl. And communication with a guy you're just starting to date should be all about quality instead of quantity. I agree with that. You don't have to text every day, but you can if you guys naturally feel compelled to do that. She talks about never allowing someone to be your priority while allowing yourself to just be an option. I think that's true for everybody, men and women, but specifically women. I do know a lot of women will focus on one guy at the beginning of the dating phase, and then they're upset when he still has a rotation. She's just encouraging you, don't do that. Like, you won't be mad he has a rotation if you just don't do that. Because like me, I like to also date one at a time. So she doesn't really encourage that. And I do get that because, yeah, in this day and age, most people aren't going to do one at a time. So unfortunately for us people who are introverted and can barely stomach one-on-one, and then people are trying to have a rotation, like, she doesn't say this in the book, I'm saying this. If you're an introvert, you probably should actually seek out people with your values and stuff, because she doesn't like talk about how women may not even want to play these games with men. Maybe you don't want to date a bunch of people just because he might be doing that. So for me, my thing is to talk about that up front, because if I think you're talking to somebody else and I know that I date one at a time, I'll just confront you about it. But if you think that's just too much, then I guess you could just date multiple people. It's up to you. But I hate having to compromise myself just because men are doing it. Like, no, you need to get on the program if you want to date me. Or we could just go our separate ways. And I'm a person who does do one at a time. So either I will bring that up with the guy, or I'll just stop talking to him, put him in the friend zone. You want to date a bunch of people, you do that and you'll be my friend and you won't get anything from me. But she doesn't say that in the book. She just says, play the game. She says men play games, which they do. And if you're not going to be confrontational like me, because at this point, I really don't care how I be looking. Because I'm like, if a guy likes you, he just like, okay, she doesn't like to play these games. But I get it. Sometimes you just want to play the game because it's not that serious which I get, because if I was younger, I probably would do it like that. I guess I'm speaking as someone with experience now. I'm married, so I'm just like, who got time for that? This isn't going to be as long as my other book reviews. I will say this author, Sherry, has another book, and it's Why Men Marry Bees, and I also read that one. I used to have 2 physical copies of this book. Clearly someone stole them from me, or no, I really think someone stole them from me, because I'm like, I don't resell books. I don't give books away, so I don't know why they disappeared. Maybe they got lost in the move, but let's see, anything else? Some of my favorite quotes from this book: be an independent thinker at all times and ignore anyone who attempts to define you in any limiting way. That was a good quote. Anytime a woman competes with another woman, she demeans herself. That was a good quote right there. Okay, the only woman you should be competing with is the woman in the mirror. And if he has you competing, it's because y'all all can get it. Okay, because I truly believe when people have found their person, the games kind of stop to a certain degree. Because my thing is, if you found your person, are you really gonna gamble because other people? So you gotta think like that. But I do know men and women are different, so maybe men are like, actually it takes a lot of work for us to like commit to one person and stick to it, in which case, yeah, you know, these are the sacrifices you have to make. But I get it. She had to write this book because women were having a hard time. I definitely had a harder time when I was younger trying to date, and especially when you don't put out, like, if you don't put out, it's gonna be hard nowadays. And so, yeah, I would definitely read this book, though, if you are an introvert, just so you can know the game, okay? Because these games are being played whether you want to partake or not. So, to wrap it up, the central theme of the book is about the nice girl, okay? The nice girl who can never get what she wants. She's doing all of these things just for the bitch to walk in and claim everything without remorse, without a care. So clearly 2 types of personalities, and she's trying to help the one that's losing, the nice girl. So that's the fundamental part of the book. Then the tidbits go into the attraction principles. And yeah, nice girl versus dream girl. Again, I don't like how she's pitting women against each other, okay? Because as someone who's been both, you're both the same. It's just like one of you guys just realized that you don't want to play this game anymore and you're going to reclaim your power. So I will say it's a bit tough on nice girls, but I get it, because it's like if you haven't woken up yet and you keep getting dogged out by men, the problem is you, is what she's saying, and to a degree is the truth, you know? Because my thing is, like, how many times does someone have to show you who they are? So I think that's where she's getting at with the book. Like, I'm not the type of person where I'm like, oh, it's just some people. I'm like, okay, at some point it is okay to say, like, it might be the environment, because as someone who has grown up in poverty and then had to get myself out through like education and hard work, I will say that environment makes a huge difference. And in poverty, most people are trying to survive, so they're not caring about how they're coming off. So in those environments, you are likely to find a large number of men who are like not relationship minded. So that's why sometimes I'm like, it may be the environment and what's accepted in the environment. Okay, so that way you're not just like, okay, these women aren't going to be accountable. Like, sometimes it's the environment. You need to get out. But if you're like in a good environment where people are decent and then you still can't get the relationship you want, you could be this nice girl that Shuri is talking about, who needs to work on setting boundaries. Because one thing I do know, I don't have a lot of experience with men, but one thing I do know about men they do treat women differently, not necessarily because they themselves think that woman is better. A lot of times it could be how she carries herself, the fact that she's just not emotionally dependent on him. I've seen with my own eyes as well the treatment and women change, and it had nothing to do with the guy. It's literally the girl just is not about to put up with that. I've seen women who didn't sleep with men have more power over the men than the woman they were sleeping with. That would blew my mind right there. Okay, because I know growing up where I was from, it was a pretty bad neighborhood, so they were having like sex really young and stuff. But I remember, because I was a late bloomer, so sometimes I would get in the game. There is a woman putting out. I'm not putting out because I want a bigger commitment, and I seem to have the upper hand until I don't. So it's not always the woman who isn't sleeping with him that has the most power. It really depends, because it depends on the guy. He wanted sex, so the woman who was giving sex had the most power in that situation. But I've seen it where it's like the girl who doesn't put out has the most say because he clearly wants to get access to that person. And since he already has access to the other person and he doesn't value it, then he gives the other woman more. So that's why I'm like, with men, it really depends. Because sometimes it's not you, and then sometimes it's not him. So sometimes it's just like, how are people moving, like I said, and like, what does he want at that time? Because like, I was always losing out to girls who would put out at that time. But there did come situations where I had the upper hand because they put out. So it really just depends. And you're not always guaranteed to win just because you're not like putting out. Just like she's not always guaranteed to lose because she is putting out. Because at the end of the day, they're going to view you the same if they have an issue with women. So it doesn't even matter. So that's why I was like, comparing the nice girl to the bitch. You don't really have to do that, because if the guy isn't serious about committing to anybody, you'll be all thrown into the same category, especially if you sleep with him. So it don't even matter. But yes, what else about this book? Just some lessons she throw in there. Being independent is good for you. Take care of yourself. And when looking for a partner, opt for quality relationships. So again, that was Sherry Argove, okay, explaining to the world that women who are too nice and clingy lead to their own suffering, okay? Because you'll never get the relationship you want if you do not stand up for yourself. So yeah, that was Why Men Love Bees. Let me know what you think. Again, I'm your girl, Charlotte V. Manor, aka Aquarius, and I will see you all in the next video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you found this review helpful. Until next time.